We are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. We will not forget. Expect us.
Citizens of the world. This important message comes from intel coming in from our counterintelligence teams, as well as continuing collaboration in operations with anonymous Ukraine as they oppose the CIA-installed Nazi government that was put into place by the 2014 overthrow of Ukraine by CIA NGOs. After concerning intelligence intercepted and hacked emails, we are giving warning about the false flag attack that is to come and the United States pushing Russia in a further escalation for a world war. The United States continues to arm the Ukraine Nazis to keep Russia from exposing the goings-on in Ukraine, and the massive amounts of money laundering. One look at all the pharmaceutical companies will show you why the efforts are going on. All these pharmaceutical companies are now very much under scrutiny and seem very much suspicious. We are anonymous. We are not the false anon groups attacking Russia with media support in the false narrative of Anonymous issuing a declaration of war against Russia and promoting lies and fake hacks the media ignores, and that the off-circuit security teams have exposed this regard. We have exposed the government-controlled accounts like YourAnon News and YourAnon1 and many others with millions of followers to spread the fake narrative and further their psychological oppression in our name. And I will remind the viewer watching this that these accounts on Twitter are not representative of our operations in Ukraine, as we have been supporting Ukraine far long before the fake anonymous operation being reported in the media. We have hacked NATO servers and the RAND Corporation and exposed the Nazis in Ukraine and the genocide going on there for years. We have exposed the bioweapons labs in Ukraine back in 2019. This was before the coronavirus outbreak. Since 2020 we have been banned time and time again for exposing the truth about the United States biological weapons labs far long before media was forced to report it. You probably don't know these facts because you only see the fake viral anonymous videos that are strictly propaganda and government aid as a psyops to get support in the attack on Russia by the United States government and others involved in the illegal deals in Ukraine. The media that is continuing the fake news story that Anonymous is against Russia is a lie. Let remind you again that Anonymous will never be on the side of any conflict that benefits the New World Order. Notice these fake accounts and the United States government always have the same targets and narrative of mainstream media, and that is no coincidence. Operation Q is the target of the New World Order and United States government to attack Trump supporters. Anonymous and government are both using the narrative that QAnon is a right-wing extremist group and trying to cover up child trafficking. Anonymous is not against QAnon, though we do not support Donald Trump. We had in fact been exposing the child trafficking long before QAnon and welcome their help as they have brought the truth to light on a way Anonymous never had, so we give thanks and respect to them for bringing the truth to the world and for their efforts. Anonymous and government target MAGA, QAnon, Russia and share the exact same narratives. With this now exposed further, I will say again that Michael Womack is not anonymous. He is Antifa. Proof of this is from his own words in admitting it, and he is the government asset used to target QAnon. Anonymous is not a particular QAnon. Those that are either fake or following the lead of Antifa ideology, not anonymous. And we will expose this further, but for now this important message must be told as we use this information as an proof of the intention of the United States and their enablers to carry out a provocation in the Ukraine using toxic chemicals. They are counting on the fact that under the conditions of a special operation it will not be possible for the international community to conduct a proper investigation, as a result of which the organizers and perpetrators can escape responsibility and the attack can be blamed on Russia. In our opinion, preparations are in full swing. At the beginning of 2023, the Euro-Atlantic Disaster Response Coordination Center plans to supply Ukraine with a large batch of personal protective equipment. As a justification is the following quote: "Russian troops have already used phosphorus munitions and may use poisonous substances during the predicted escalation of the conflict." The list of supplies received includes more than 55,000 sets of personal protective equipment, 55,000 gas masks, 13,000 corresponding anti-chemical packages. Priority is given to antidotes for organophosphorus toxic substances such as sarin and saman, including 600,000 ampoules of anticonvulsants, 3 million tablets for detoxification of mustard gas, leucite and hydrocyanic acid, derivatives, and 750,000 vials of inhibitors of chlorostophenone. In addition, the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation received information that on February 10, 2023, a train arrived in Ukraine, Kramatorsk, and in one of the cars was a large load, accompanied by a group of foreign citizens. The car was uncoupled and towed to the large Kramatorsk Kuibyshev metallurgical plant where chemicals are unloaded under the control of the Security Service of Ukraine and a representative of the Command of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. The presence of 16 sealed metal boxes, 8 of which require the identification of chemical hazards, the inclusion of BZT and marking with 2 red lines, which corresponds to the class of poisonous manifestations of a temporarily debilitating effect. 5 boxes require the inclusion of CS, riot, 3, CR, riot with the beginning of the marking in the form of a single red stripe, which corresponds to irritating substances. The cargo was placed on American-made armored vehicles, which advanced in columns to the line of armed contact. On February 19, 11th train cars loaded with shrapnel munitions were unloaded in Kramatorsk. Unloading was carried out at night on a platform in the suburbs, while the cars were marked with the inscriptions "Building Materials, Cement." According to information obtained by the Russian Ministry of Defense, it was discovered that the modernization of shrapnel munitions was being carried out U.S. ground forces, with these munitions being upgraded with liquid formulations of chemical weapons substances. The fact of the simultaneous delivery of chemical agents and protection against them corresponds to the assessment of planned large-scale provocations using the military-grade psychotropic poisonous substance BZT during the course of hostilities. Let me remind you that, in accordance with the Chemical Weapons Convention, CWC, BZT is a dependent chemical and is included in the second list. Its use is prohibited by Article 1 of the CWC. This toxic agent causes psychosis, disorientation, hallucinations and impaired consciousness. BZT is a U.S. Army standard poison agent and was widely used during the Vietnam War. The United States and its allies have repeatedly used chemically formulated munitions during military conflicts in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria. The United States announced their complete liquidation of BZT stocks back in 1990, when about 50 tons of this substance were disposed of, but its use was never abandoned. In addition, at present, the possibility of synthesizing BZT precursors at powerful production facilities for pharmaceuticals has been preserved, resulting in up to several dozen tons per year being produced. We have repeatedly noted that the leadership of Western countries on a regular basis makes provocative statements about the possibility of Russia using weapons of mass destruction. At the same time, such projects have already been implemented more than once by the United States itself to achieve political goals. Thus, a test tube with washing powder in the hands of U.S. Secretary of State Colin Powell served as a pretext for the invasion of Iraq and the death of more than 500,000 citizens of this country. In 2017, photos of the White Helmets, which were publicized by news agencies, showing people in ordinary gauze bandages taking samples at the site of the suspected sarin attack, led to a U.S. missile attack on the Shayrat Air Base in Syria. In 2018, staged footage of allegedly chlorine-poisoned children in the Syrian city of Douma caused the destruction of a research center in Bars and Jamrai. I would like to remind you that no one has yet been held accountable for these crimes. US compliance with its obligations under the CWC is clearly selective. Any restrictions under this treaty that infringe on American interests are ignored with the direct connivance of the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, OPCW. Thus, in violation of Article 1 of the Convention and the 1925 Geneva Protocols, the U.S. Department of Defense legalized the use of a number of chemicals weapons for war. Their use is envisaged using a wide range of standard munitions. I would like to issue a warning. Russian stationary and mobile systems for monitoring the nuclear, biological, chemical, NBC, situation deployed in the area of their special military operation make it possible to detect chemical threats in a timely manner and promptly respond to them. In this regard, the West is mistaken in counting on the successful implementation of provocations with toxic chemicals under the conditions of warfare. The analytical capabilities of the chemical laboratories available to the Russian Ministry of Defense make it possible to reliably determine not only the type of chemical used, but also the country of origin. For example, the information presented on the slide about the use of improvised ammunition against Russian troops with the help of UAFs is widely known. Studies have shown that these are thermal munitions that contained flammable oxidizers and additives, some of which were produced in the Czech Republic. We warn you that in the case of provocations using toxic chemicals, the true culprits will be identified and punished by us. We will continue to work to expose the criminal activities of the West in violation of the Chemical Weapons Convention. The eyes of the world may not be on you but are. We are anonymous. We are legion. We are everywhere. Expect us.